All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at Henderson City Council, July 15th. I'll be looking for a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
All right, got a motion. Get a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Both same sign. All right, moving right along. We'll go ahead and jump right into the mayor update here. Election status, comp plan, legislative review, other. So kind of, I'll lead with the big story. I got a call from the Mndot commissioner this evening, and the Mndot commissioner and the governor will be here tomorrow in Henderson to review the project on Highway 93. So this is really, really good news for us that we're in the radar as the session, special session is in negotiation for all kinds of things. We know that this is a piece on the board that is being moved around just like the other items. But as of right now, they will be here. We will be meeting down on the south end of town by the levee, right there at the gates there, a little bit before 2. So this is good stuff. So I will be there, and then Greg Oss, who's the District 7 Mndot director that we've had a relationship with, he'll be there also. So I don't know if Senator Newman will be there or Representative Gruenhagen, but I do know that contact was being made with them as well. So moving right along. So good stuff. Election status. This is our last meeting before the filing period opens July 28th and closes, what is it, 2 weeks, Lon? 2 weeks. I will be running for mayor, so I will be putting my name in there. I hope you all read our lovely newspaper. That would certainly have given you the impression I was going to be ending my term, and frankly, I did have that intention. But once that came out, I was able to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people that were honest conversations that I probably wouldn't have had I not put that in there. And one thing that kind of came to light is we really have a lot of work to do, and it's work I'm excited about, and it's work I think the future council can tackle. And the main focus of that, which leads to the comp plan here that I'm going to be focusing on, is housing. And when I talk about housing, I'm talking about senior housing. I'm talking about single-family housing, starting housing, multi-unit housing. In the comp plan, we have the loop plan that we're there. The school district is going for a levy, which would factor into that. And so as far as the last 2 years, whether it be talking about flood mitigation or other little things that have bogged us down, I am done with those. I am completely done with those, and that played into my decision to put that letter out there. And I'm going to be focusing on big stuff and stuff that really makes an investment and impact in our future. So that's what I'll be sticking around for as long as the community will continue to have me. So just wanted to give you all that update on that. But as far as housing is concerned, that is going to be my primary focus. Legislative update, kind of with the governor there. They're in special session. They have both adjourned the House and Senate, but the negotiations are ongoing. So when they come back in next week, I wonder if there won't be a total package that's already agreed upon and everything else, and they just kind of zip it to both chambers and go from there. So let's hope they get a lot of good stuff done. Ridgeview. One of the things I want to present to the council here is actually a formal action. Right now, Ridgeview Henderson Clinic is closed, and they have not reopened it. I think having it open is a good thing for Henderson. It's something people are asking about when that's going to happen. And I personally would like to send a letter to them officially requesting that they do open it back up. And the reason I put it on here is I would like that to be a formal letter from the council's perspective as a community saying this is a valuable asset. It is a trusted resource and one that we want to see continue, and formally ask them to consider opening that back up as soon as possible. So that's really open for discussion here amongst the two of you that are here.
Have we had any communication with them, or have they communicated at all to anyone?
Nope. Right now, for my own kids, we're having to go to Gaylord or Arlington, wherever the provider is, but it's not here, even though we know they actually have really good patient counts and flow through here. And I think I don't want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, that they're shifting traffic under the current situation that will ultimately lead them to make decisions that are permanent based on a situation that is created, not organic. And that's why I'd like to present to them that we request that they open them back up.
It'd be a step backward for the community if it never got opened up.
That's right. I agree.
So, I mean, there's no harm in saying we really value you.
Right.
I would support that request in a lot of form.
Okay. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that
Okay.
we formally ask Ridgeview to reopen the clinic, or at least consider it.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion?
Second that.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, thank you. All right, moving right along. Police chief.
So I'm just going to briefly go over a couple of months of reports because we did not have regular council meeting last month. So first, I'm going to cover a period from May 20th to June 17th. Police department handled 75 calls for service. During that period of time and upon completion of investigations, the following arrests have been made. 3 individuals were arrested for second-degree burglary, violation of conditions of release, obstructing legal process, giving this officer false name. Also, we had arrests for possession over 1.4 grams of marijuana in motor vehicle, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession with intent to sell small amount of marijuana. 3 traffic citations were issued for reckless driving, careless driving, driving without motorcycle endorsement. As far as calls for service, they break down to burglary 1, thefts 2, 3 narcotic related, 1 property damage, 2 noise complaints, 5 suspicious activity, and 9 traffic stops, 2 traffic complaints that followed by direct traffic enforcement, 8 assist other agencies, 1 alarm 911 hand-up calls, community policing directive patrol 12, public assist welfare check 6, ordinance violations 14, 1 criminal trespass and other calls or information only found property or motorist assists. During that period of time, we had 1 calls for service was holding, which saved the city where the county again wasn't dispatched in sheriff's office $150. We started working on city ordinances, and all of the owners that were found in violation were sent letters with photographs of violations attached. And since then, we've been working, and a lot of violations have been corrected. So we didn't really have to, and we're working with people on that. If they have some kind of exigent circumstances, we give them a little bit more time, as long as they're doing something on all of these violations and take care of their properties. I mean, we understand there is different circumstances, but as I said, as long as they take care of it and we see some progress, we kind of try to work with people on that. All right, so I'm gonna jump straight to June 17th through July 15th, because the other just stuff is going to be updated. So during this period of time, actually we had about 85 calls, and last night I was called in at 1:30. So there was arrest made for again, felony threats of violence and false reporting a crime. Also, we had another arrest, felony, or rather, following charges were submitted upon completion of investigations, again, for felony offense of violence, harassment. Currently, we are conducting another investigation. One traffic citation was issued during that period of time. The call breakdown, actually, we had less serious crime, I guess, last month. The numbers went down. One domestic call, one threats, well, would be two now. One harassment stalking. There was one death investigation. One noise complaint, 6 suspicious activity, 5 traffic stops. 4 times we enforced traffic following complaints. 9 assist other agencies. 2 alarms. Community policing direct patrol was 32, public assist 5, and 1 ordinance violation. During that period of time, dispatched called us in, or calls were holding again. There was 3 times, including yesterday, last night. So we had $450 savings for the city. We started doing our responsibilities as far as water district responsibilities, and it's been a very smooth transition. I actually talked to Jim. I said maybe a couple days ago, and he was satisfied on how we performed, police department performed the duties. So everything is good in that aspect. Training, there is use of force training scheduled for the end of the month. Officer Alex Schmidt, we all know, went full time, and since that time we expanded our coverage for the city, the hours. At least we have 12-hour coverage, during 24 hour. So I submitted reimbursement paperwork with the state. And unfortunately, myself, I wasn't able to qualify because you have to be with the department for 8 months. So anybody who was hired after November 1st is not eligible this time around. I mean, I'll be eligible next time around. Even without that, we should be getting back $2,336.87 so far, and that's higher than I looked. It was previous year. I think it was previous for 2 years we're getting about 1,900 back from the state. Equipment and police supplies, we had just oil change on our main unit. Backup unit still got about 3,000 miles to go. Everything is in good operational condition. As far as budget, also, I look at some numbers after 6 months, and we basically right where we should be. Police administration, total police administration expenses up to date, I'll give you the exact date. It's July 6th. So we have $65,452 for the allocated budget for those expenses of $131,590. So this is a little, but roughly half. So this is pretty good. For police units, which includes gas, repair, maintenance, we again kind of, it's even better. Numbers look better for we only spent 1,900, roughly 1,927 out of 4,600. And as I said before, we're trying to try to save the budget and kind of stretch things and equipment. If they can function, we're not getting anything new. So any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. As a follow-up, I met with the sheriff, Nienaber, last week. And he had just really good, and this is less for you and more for the council. He had just really good reports about our department and our chief in terms of his proactive approach to maintaining communications with him. Appreciated that our community is taking those calls when, because not every community takes those calls when they're off duty. It would be the sheriff's preference for the communities to take their calls, but they don't all, but appreciate that we are. So thank you for doing that. And just it was one of those good report cards, kind of good feedback I got. That wasn't the reason I met with him originally, but that I did get that, heard that. So thank you for representing our community well. So.
Another thing is BCA sent me a request for resolution, council resolution, and basically this is just an agreement. You have your paperwork in front of you. This agreement provides police department with access to different BCA.
And this is essential. We've had this, and this is just a renewal.
Correct. Correct. This is just a renewal, and it's supposed to be a renewal. I mean, that's my understanding. I'm not, I wasn't here before, but my understanding is that all departments in the state of Minnesota have some sort of similar resolutions, and I'm not sure why we need a resolution for that, but evidently, BCA requires it. So,
are you recommending that we do this then?
Yes, I do. I would recommend this because there's a lot of access that we can utilize in the in reference to all the information that we need. So I would probably recommend us getting it. Otherwise we'll have to go for the third party on some of them. So.
Yep. And so the cost is $150 per year. Or wait, see, the bills are sent quarterly.
No,
so it's $600 a year.
It's a little bit more. It's $600
a year. Correct. But it would formalize and allow you to continue to do what you need to do.
Correct.
It's just a tool that you need. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I'll be looking. Yeah.
Which one is it?
Part of the fees structure.
Let me
A fob is like a cop. Yeah, it's the code. Yeah, because it's an electronic coded.
It grants access. Yeah, it's just like remotely you can.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept.
All right, got a motion in a second.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Okay.
Only I got the text, I better read them. What Janet texted in was all she has is complaints. Sharon Trimble. Sharon's a full-time officer and nobody's on duty at night. Also, nobody's doing anything. And then she's got another complaint or complaints from Les Trimble 3 to 5 times a week that the vehicles down on County Road 6 going past his place are going too fast. So, and she generally brings these things up when you're not here. So I'll bring them up now.
Oh, that sounds good. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. There's a resolution here for the joint powers.
So that's what you just approved.
So this accompanies this?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just want to, okay.
I can just prepare paperwork.
I must be missing.
Here we go. This is
Okay.
all that, and these are basically what they.
Okay. Okay.
That approves everything that's here.
Okay. Anything else for the chief? All right. Sounds good. Thank you. All right. SEH. Chris, you've been patiently waiting. You can come on up to this hot mic over here. If you wouldn't mind pressing that button in front of you. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks for having me here. So, about 3 weeks ago, we presented a proposal to look at improvements on the east side of town. So, primarily 3rd Street, 4th Street, Elm, all the way up to Market. So, there's a map in the proposal that might kind of show a little bit better. At that time, our proposal was to survey the area, do a topographic survey, and then do a preliminary design of the area, mostly preliminary design memo, to kind of do cost estimates, show the proposed improvements, and kind of get that all established before we move into final design. And our original intent was to bring it to the June council meeting, and then that got moved and changed. So I talked to Lon about it around that time, and he kind of just mentioned to kind of shift gears and get into a little further into design. So we've kind of progressed a little bit further into design these areas up to about a 30% level. So I'm at the point now I need to definitely share that information with the city, kind of show you all the proposed improvements. Mostly street utility or street work primarily, but we do have sanitary sewer being replaced entirely in those yellow areas. And a little bit of storm sewer, but there's really not a lot of storm sewer to start with. The water mains being left in place primarily. So the improvement is mostly a street project with sanitary sewer kind of driving that work as well. One thing I'll kind of show you on there might kind of stand out on North 4th Street. We are showing the sanitary sewer actually moving into the street. Currently it's behind the houses in the baseball field. So we're actually showing reconstruction of North 4th Street on there so that we can move sanitary sewers at those houses, redirect them to the west, and get rid of the sanitary sewers in the kind of a bad area to be replacing. So what we've determined is that the cost of the improvement we've estimated to be about $2 million of construction, 1.9 to 2.2 million construction. Total project cost about 2.4 to 2.7 million dollars. Based on those numbers and kind of working through the preliminary design, we've kind of hit the point where we've exhausted our budget for doing the preliminary design. And if the city wants to progress into getting a project underway, we would, especially for starting this fall, we would need to get into our final design and preparation of bidding documents very quickly. The schedule we provided at the meeting 3 months ago is shown on the second page here. Previously, we had the final design proposal at the June meeting. We've got that at the July meeting today. And a pretty aggressive schedule to get a plan prepared for authorization to bid at the August 19th council meeting. So 5 weeks. We've got the manpower to do it. So we can do it on our end of things. We'd probably want to get some things accelerated with doing probably a virtual neighborhood meeting. I do have that in there to do probably about 2 to 3 weeks. We have a utility meeting we'd have to have, and a couple design meetings. But as far as the utility stuff, it's relatively straightforward. It's making sure people are maybe on board with some of the street work we're showing. So we had done a memo well, 10 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, I guess, on low impact development in the city of Henderson. And we're proposing to try to follow that with this project to at least one degree or another, narrowing of some streets, some curb and gutter being added to kind of get the water to go where it wants to go instead of, or where it should go instead of, you can kind of drive through there, you can see the areas where water's probably sitting all the time after rain falls. We do have some elements in there that, the street will look a little different after it's done than beforehand. Not just that's paved, but that's got some curb, or it's got some rain gardens, or it's got something else going on to it. So,
question for you. So of the
Yes.
2.2 or whatever. So the yellow, basically that would be all the underground stuff would be replaced. So does that mean all of these surface streets would also be replaced, or curbs, whatever, other design elements? But basically, if I was going to show this to someone, say, this yellow area is basically, and this is only for people here, this yellow area is what we're going to do, just sort of like LeSueur looks the last couple of months. You know what I mean? Where they tore up the whole thing, had to drive all the way around it, kind of a deal. And I don't know if you've been over in LeSueur.
I'm familiar with the project, yeah.
Okay, so basically that's essentially what we're doing here to some degree.
He's doing the project.
Oh, that is your project.
The one through LeSueur is not. South of LeSueur is ours. The highway project south of town.
Okay. And so then, based on the initial design work, so how much, if you had to, in this, I'm not going to hold you to any of this,
sure,
because I know where you're at. Of the roughly $2 million, how much of this is street, and curb, and whatever, and how much of it is pipes and those things?
Sanitary sewer, I think, was about $600,000.
Okay.
The water main, we're leaving the water main in place. We're switching services over in a few spots. So otherwise, I think it was about $60,000. And then storm sewer is about the same. So it's primarily the surface improvements that will cost the money.
So yeah, okay. So 60% is basically a road project. Right. 40% is utility stuff.
Yep.
And of the 40%, 35% of that is really sewer stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So then, based on the sewer stuff, about $600,000, you said, from our current fee structure of reducing the flows in the I&I stuff, what can we attach a super rough dollar savings that we will capture by doing those 600,000? Because there's going to be something. Do we know a rough idea of, because that was one of the whole ideas, is we're going to make this improvement so that we can save some money. Do we know that figure or a rough figure with that?
I don't have that figure. So quantifying the I&I reduction is a difficult thing. So I know from year to year it's going to be different.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons we were going to do this because that was a real thing.
Right.
So so that's what I feel like we have to have. And again, it's a rough number because I agree it's going to go up and down.
Sure.
And you're pretty sure, say we have an I&I problem of 100%, and we're pretty sure, say 50% of our I&I problem is under this yellow line. So if we solve 50% of our I&I, is that over
200,000 gallons a day by, you got a calculator, 200,000 gallons a day by 100 days by 20 years by $2.20 per thousand.
Okay. Did you get all that wrong?
I didn't. Don't look at me yet.
Chris just gave up.
It's going to be significant.
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
What is, go ahead and do that calc. I'll wait.
We're gonna be assuming that's all maximum penalty, because after year 3,
that's real.
We're in the maximum penalty.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna save, well, let's say 150 days by 20. That's 3,000 days over 20 years, and $2.20 per thousand is what?
That's 25. No, that's 2.5 cents.
2.5 cents by however many thousands of gallons.
Yeah.
That was. So.
Right. If you come to like 20 million,
But so it should be the same number, only taken off by 3, right? Yeah.
Just moving 3 decimals.
Yeah. The 220,000 by 20 by 150 is 660 million. So take off 3 zeros, we're saying, so 700,000.
So basically, doing this pays for itself. Super duper. Should have led with that.
And we kind of, I mean, coming into this, this has been our plan. From moving
Yes.
Away from, I mean, and our agreement with the sewer is set up for this. So.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right. And so Lon, Robin, did you met with Chris or?
Once maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. They're doing the I&I study.
So the only question I would have on this timeline, because I agree it's aggressive, not that that's a problem, but would such an aggressive thing lead us to get unreasonably high bids?
Well, there's two things that can happen here. The first thing is a typical street and utility project, like you're seeing over in Le Sueur. The utility contractors don't work. They'll stop work usually in about September because they need people to come in there and start putting the road back in.
Gotcha.
They need to start building it up before they run out of time. Most utility contractors don't like to move dirt after October 1st because they might not be able to get a road built on time. So what we're identifying is doing the utility work in the fall and graveling the street and then coming back in the spring and rebuilding everything. That's the primary option. Utility contractors might be looking for work or will be looking for work, and we can keep them busy through then in November.
Because they don't have the pressure of.
They don't have pressure putting it back together. Yep.
All right. Super.
I did have the thought of doing an alternate bid, and I haven't discussed it with Lon, but basically bid A is start the work and get the utilities done by November 30th and dig the street next year. Alternate B might be to do it all next year with that contractor. They could bid both, and then you can compare the real prices.
Cool. I like it.
And then, I mean, I think it's advantage to get the utility work in during the fall. There's a big advantage, but it also means during the winter, you're gonna have gravel streets, muddy streets, that kind of stuff to deal with.
It'll be frozen.
And that would be part of what you would.
Yeah, so
that would be part of what you
spring
talk to the community about through your virtual meetings.
Yeah. So the stuff in the winter, I did have a street that's gravel winter last year. We did track. We had about 3 weeks where it was tough to get through, no question about it. So that's the biggest thing. And then a contractor, their MPCA permit would be live over winter. So that mud gets tracked into the Minnesota River, which is an impaired water and all that kind of stuff. They're on the hook for any kind of fines.
Well, I like the idea of putting both out there and just seeing
Yep.
what the difference is. I mean, I get what you're saying, but if it's that much of a significant savings, I think people would say, I can put up with that.
Yep.
For that.
Give
but
them-
if it's the same, hey, then we've at least got that info. I like it.
And
The only thing it's fine to have options, but I totally would want to.
Oh, just get the pipes done.
You do this in the spring, and this is the year of 30 years.
Yeah, you're right.
You might have an alternate, and the contractor might select that alternate, and it might be 20% less. But that alternate's going to assume the contractor's going to start on May 1st. And my guess is if you even have an average year yesterday, you're not going to get a contractor in there until August 1st. So if you could get in this fall, I would take it the other way.
You'd say the premium is actually on just getting it in there.
I would give somebody an incentive to get the utilities in this fall if it's dry, because why we are at where we're at today is because of exactly that. The contractor in 1969 said they were going to go the next year and do whatever. Well, they couldn't get in. Finally, you got to get in, and we got to get it done. Well,
That's what we're facing
we
now.
got cracked.
Yeah. Okay. I'm convinced. Excellent. Let's do that. I'm down with it.
we nailed all the specifics here. Obviously, we'll have a lot to do here in 5 weeks.
So I don't know. Do you have what more do you want out of what he's saying here?
He wants 125,000.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's going to do the project without the money. So I don't know.
Or 114,000, whatever it is.
We need to make a motion
Yeah.
to move forward.
Yep.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I got a motion. Got a second.
I'll second.
Got a motion. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Excellent.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Chris. Go forth, do good work.
We'll get moving on some virtual meetings here too, and kind of get some stuff in front of you, so you're not seeing a 1,000-foot view. You're seeing something a little bit better. So
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
We make sure no one was invited.
Absolutely, yes.
But I do think we got to be clear on that
This is happening.
and that it's going to be utility work, but the chances of blacktop being there and having a solid street
Is
over the
close to
winter
zero.
is
Yeah.
not happening.
Right.
And also that winter snow removal and maintenance and whatever is going to be difficult at best. You know, so that from a staffing standpoint and how we're doing things, we need
Yeah.
to make sure
Plan accordingly.
that information
Okay.
is out
Sounds
there.
good. All right. Thank you, Chris. All right. Jeff Steinborn, roll in.
I've been talking with Don periodically about the road and certainly paying attention to the events that are happening in our region. There are certain events that are very close to identify as a road. And some cities seem to be hosting these events. So I know that at the last meeting we talked and laid out a plan that the city is okay with that plan, as long as the state loosens up on the restrictions. Technically, they haven't. I don't think that they will this year. Like I said, there are some communities that are hosting events. So I wanted to keep the dialogue open about this and consider your thoughts. If we were to have one, I think that we could do that, but I'm really concerned about our businesses and those businesses.
I gotta get a number. It won't be today. It'll be Wednesday.
So that got me thinking more heavily on that and reaching out to those businesses. Most said, absolutely, we can take it. Some said, we'll do what we can. One said, I'd rather not. Meaning they did not feel comfortable increasing their capacity for that Tuesday.
Is that a food vendor?
These are all food vendors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Retail.
No, the retail wasn't the person who said that though, right?
No.
Okay. Okay.
So since we last met, we've had a couple of nice Tuesdays, which there seemed to be pretty nice flow of traffic, some classic cars, some motorcycles, and after witnessing that and learning from two of the businesses on our main street that were called, that had complaints against them about wearing masks, and then they were called by the state health inspector, and they should be, being their employees. Those businesses said, yeah, it's better safe than getting fined. We don't necessarily need to push anything on Tuesday. And so it's been pretty relaxed. But recently, reading that there's other events going on in communities just got me thinking about that. And so, Ron had it on the agenda, and I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with discussing it with your council.
My take on it is it's more still goes back to the roll-in committee. If you guys can actually have the horsepower to do it safely. My main concern with the roll-ins has always been actually less about the health side of it, because I think we've all got a handle on where people are going to be, where they stand on it, because they're all over. But from a safety standpoint, I think we've sort of got this answer, is were people going to show up regardless? And all of a sudden it's just chaos because there is no, traffic control, or, someone going to get run over but that hasn't, I don't think that's happened. That kind of overwhelming traffic hasn't occurred that I can tell. And so in that sense, I've become less worried about that. And my guess is if you guys announce that you're going to have one, you will generate the traffic to need that. But if you keep doing what you're doing, I think you're probably going to be fine. I was almost more concerned that such a traffic flow was going to show up that forced you to have to re-engage before your crew was ready. But I don't think I've seen that. So,
Do you have any idea what capacity? You know, I've heard some advertisements for some different car roll-ins. Do you have any idea what capacity they're seeing? You know, or are they seeing 100%?
This weekend, Montgomery is having one on the 21st. And I thought we could certainly wait to see what happens at those events.
are those park and roll-ins, or are they actually like cruises?
The roll-ins.
There are, okay. I know you know the difference.
You know, and cruises were actually, that was highlighted within the state saying cruises are absolutely what we can do.
Yeah. So,
I'm just concerned about, more concerned about our businesses and how comfortable they are with the crowd. And whether or not we would take any heat in having such an event. And we know that if we were to turn on the light, say yes, we would get an influx of margins.
yeah, you would.
Are our roll-ins typically bigger than other communities' roll-ins?
Yes.
And so that really before you could, if the current utilization of customers kind of fills our existing businesses to capacity, or at least to where they're at right now, if you were going to move forward, you'd almost have to have a buy-in from quite a few nonprofits that are actually going to do something that would be able to take the additional traffic that would be getting. So,
We're surrounded by, all the counties around us are the fastest growing infection rates in the state. So it sounds like your idea of waiting to see what happens in Montgomery and Glencoe.
All right.
Sounds like it's going well for now.
No official business, just discussion.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
that's good though. I appreciate it. All right, thank you. All right, Fema Projects.
they're still ongoing. We've got a couple of those to complete, so really not too much.
Okay. Election.
We're primaries coming up in probably a month now. We will be getting some new equipment. There'll be some expenses out there. Some of it may be reimbursable through COVID. Some of it may be reimbursable through some kind of state grants. But at least we're going to end up with one more iPad, maybe two, that'll just really be election oriented. And I say that may or may not be able to get money coming back on it. The water tower project, they're still ongoing. See, the color has not changed yet, so they've got a lot of things going on there. We to get to do yet. We may have more, but we did survive one partial scare last night in the sense that with running these 3 hydrants like we have to run them to include pressure, that just does change what's going on within our system. We had a break last night, that a water main break that we thought might basically everybody up on Fort Road was out of water. Everybody in Westridge and Maple Ridge were either out or going to be out shortly. We happened, got James in here around 10 o'clock and actually got it pretty much figured out. They'll have to get at it here tomorrow or the next day to try to get that fixed. But that most likely was just the stress on the system because of where it's running at high water or high pressure capacity. I guess.
There must not be a way to throttle back the pumps, huh? They're either on or off, basically.
But they've got those pressure release valves on.
I know, and you could turn those down.
Yeah, but then you won't get water. We got to, in order for you to have water in your development,
Yeah.
we have to have 110 pounds of pressure
Down here.
at where Janet is at. Gotcha. In order to get water up to Westridge and Maple Ridge, we got to have 95 pounds of pressure. So that, and last night was a good example, and it kind of showed how it worked. as soon as that break occurred, the pressure dropped and basically then didn't allow anything to go to Fort Road, but at the same time reduced enough to where it didn't get to that 95, and boom, Westridge and Maple Ridge were out. So I mean, they were out within a minute. You know,
Right.
I got calls within a minute from first one place, then the other.
They all knew it right away.
It was pretty instantaneous.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, it's totally dependent on that pressure, and that's what those gauges are set up. So if they drop below a certain point, and you know, and that's what he's got them set probably 7 pounds higher than what they necessarily would have to be. But if you ran them lower and you drop below 90, then
oh yeah, and say everyone started taking a shower at the same time.
yeah, then Westridge would be, then Maple Ridge and Westridge would be out of water, and so would Fort Road. League of Cities. We don't have to decide anything. At first, I was thinking maybe we should decide something tonight. The county wants to put a program together to give money to businesses. I guess I don't know where you guys are at, but we probably should spend some time going through the questions and answers and figuring out what your priorities and policies are going to be to spend that $65,000, as to whether we should concentrate solely on city stuff, whether we should be doing some things for local businesses or nonprofits, or how we should focus here. But
And so we've had some discussions, you and I, as I was trying to understand how this program worked. And I did have some thoughts. So for example, what's the total dollar amount again?
64,000.
64,000. And so like, for example, I thought, you know, how do you do this fairly, equitably, those kinds of things. And kind of where I ended up landing when I was just discussing this with Juan was kind of, first off, you know, shoring up the city because that's a benefit to the entire community. And then second, supporting nonprofits and businesses that we've already been supporting to some extent already. And I think by the time we get to the end of that list, it's already gone. Because I think so. For example, the Bender Park. So right now, Sauerkraut Days, which is a community-wide benefit, economically makes a $5,000 loan payment to us. Well, they have no revenue, but they still got to make that payment to us. But under this bucket, we can actually fund that missed revenue that they've missed, so that it pays, so that they can make that payment and not obliterate their ability to do.
Missed revenue is the wrong term.
But
you can't replace any revenues.
Yeah,
but
expenses.
You can
cover
replace expenses.
Yeah.
So in your example, if Sauerkraut Days has a $5,000 expense, they can submit that to you, and you can approve that as a legitimate.
Right. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. So in this case, their expense would be the loan payment for Bender Park, which comes back to us. So that shores up two issues: the city and the nonprofit. We've got a couple of businesses within the revolving loan fund. Those aren't quite as big at all, but there's a few month period in which we could assist there, because they've already come to us because they needed that assistance. So we've already done that process to say there was a need above and beyond, which wasn't being taken care of by just the regular economic availabilities of banks and those kinds of things. Then we know that some of this is going to be related to law enforcement. We're applying there. I'm missing some things.
However long we had Bruce and Lindsay off, that's reimbursable that month. We had one employee that used both the ESLFA and the FLSA, so those are both reimbursable. We've been told that the Henderson Fire District has got some expenses that are that are COVID related, so those are all reimbursable. You know,
So as far as, and this is where it's a discussion. I'm not telling you what we're doing. Please don't take it that way. But I just thought to be able to be fair and equity, because if you go all the way down the line here, you know, and we start just specifically picking businesses and giving it directly from this fund to a business, there's no end to that discussion as to why it was fair or not, or whatever. You know, they're all gonna, you know, so if we do the greatest benefit from a community standpoint, and economic drivers and nonprofits like the fire department, sauerkraut days, you know, and then the city, I think we actually run through this almost entirely without having to get into this discussion of which individual business is justified for how much and why, and another isn't. Which I don't think we want to get into that discussion.
Well, and you end up possibly giving everybody something little. You know, if you had to like find like, you know, think about the matrices you'd have to use if you were going to say business A should get this much, and you'll never, and so everybody gets a little something, but not enough of anything. Whereas something like, I mean, that's been my thought all along, is that Bender Park and the shelter, that's going to be something that's there for years. And it's an unfortunate timing for what happened with sauerkraut days this year, early on, you know, as second or third year that we would have benefited from that. So then to be able to help something that's citywide, that pushes something into every business, I think is fair.
How does that framework sound to you, Robin? Does that make sense?
It sounds like I think that 64,000 will go really fast under just our obvious.
The county is actually, they want supposed to go to a meeting on Monday. They want all the cities. They're taking some of their money, or they're taking, I don't know how much, but through their EDA, they're putting money into a fund, and they're going to have a business application process. And then they want cities to take some of their money and allocate it into this account, and then have a one-size-fits-all application.
So they want us to send some of our money to them so they could allocate it, basically, correct?
That's how they would start. Yes.
No. Sorry, that wasn't.
Well, that's just giving up local control. I mean, theoretically,
yes.
Theoretically, none of it would come back to us.
Theoretically, that's true.
I thought the county was getting quite a bit of money already.
Well,
or separate from that, or maybe not.
I'm sure, I don't know exactly how much they're getting, but
no,
they're getting more than we are. Yeah.
I just think that, you know, our council and our city administration and our community is a generally pretty active and engaged group. And I think we can figure out what to best do with our bucket. I still would recommend that our businesses go to the county, because they are county taxpayers as well, to do that on an individual basis. But I think locally, I think we've done a good job of engaging kind of our own processes without getting muddled up in another layer. I don't know. Does that mean?
Yeah, I am. Because even predicting down the line what, you know, who knows what next year brings for ability to have festivals at the level.
It's true.
You know, so I think I'm always for local control, and I'm for,
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one of the things not identified that we don't have all the expenses out for. And I think part of the reason some of this went to November 15th is when cities have up until that to spend it, is nobody really knows what kind of costs are going to be out there for elections too. I mean, that's another, you know, saving a little bit for that. But the curious thing is, we could sounds like we can spend all this money in one fell swoop. In talking to Todd at Ellers, you know, when we're talking about doing that finance plan, he says, you know, this is all they can spend it all on your finance plan, you know. So somehow
of course they have. There's government money out there. They're aware of that.
And while it's kind of silly on the surface, it's totally true that we will need a finance plan to kind of get through this. Well, so while say 80% of the finance plan is definitely what we want to do anyway, 20% is definitely needed. But the minute you put a 20%, you know, color dye into your clean glass of water, the whole thing turns that color. And that's kind of what I think Ehlers is the logic that they're taking. But again, I think that completely benefits everybody in the town before I would want to step into a matrixed thing that no one's going to be happy or equitable or anything.
Yeah, anybody could claim.
Yeah.
Anybody in their mind, I mean, can claim that there's a need for this, convince themselves, and if you don't give them that much, but somebody else got that much,
So
you don't win. I don't think.
So in that sense, my framework in my mind would be, you know, city expenses, nonprofit, community benefit expenses, and I think we're actually all done already. I don't think we get past those two categories.
I really don't think so either.
But just to, I'm sure SEH, because they're indicating too that part of the bid, who knows if it's true or not, but bids are going to be higher, I think, because of shortages for COVID. So they're saying some of our costs could even go higher. When I talked to Lane yesterday, and he sent me some stuff out that I forwarded, you know, he said the same thing, but he's at least, I wouldn't say realistic, but straightforward enough to say, but you know, we're not, well, we got to audit, I mean, they got to audit everything, but you know, some of our expenses I'm sure are for that, but you know, the reality is you're not going to get our bill until June or, you know, until next year anyway. Yeah. And I said, no, you send us your free bill out or whatever, but he says, yeah, but really, how can we determine legitimately, we're the auditors, how can we determine how much we really spend on your, you know, so he's actually being fair about it. How can we decide that 20% of your bill is COVID related when we haven't even audited yet? And then if you bill it out that way, you put it in your budget, and then we come and audit you in February and say, well, really 20% wasn't an eligible expense. Now you got to give back 10% of what you've already put out there. I mean,
Okay. Do you need a motion from us?
no, we'll have to.
You're going to have to put it together and then
put it together and run it through the budget and finance. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you can we include like possible future expenses? Like, do we load up on like PPE equipment beforehand?
We can.
Like I have no idea what it could go for. But
Yeah, that's all. That's all legitimate. And I don't know from a law enforcement standpoint. I don't know what we all need or what we can all.
you might want to think about that going into it. I mean, I'm not saying a large portion of it, but you might want to cover, kind of forecast future expenses too.
Well, and and whatever we're doing for
these
things
right here.
Yeah,
Right.
This is all COVID.
Yeah.
Everything that Jeff is doing
Right.
is all. Yeah, that's all cool.
And it's something that does benefit
We need to give him a
for the
raise. then.
future.
Yeah. Well, everything we did for the parks and the notifications and any of that. I mean, the extra cleaning and whatever that we're doing. So not to watch out there. A larger percentage of my time is going to go out of there than what I originally would have anticipated, because March and April. I mean, when you think back, that's all we were doing when this first started in March was how are we going to open, how are we going to close. I mean, it was all COVID stuff. I
I'd like to paint a rosy future, but I think that, I mean, it's not going away in August or September, you know, so part of what, like even thinking about Bender Park and even just thinking about like hand sanitizing stations or something there, I'm just pulling something out of the air, but you might want to kind of
I think
plan.
the bathrooms, I think, yes, we have to figure out a way so that we're not, you know, I think those, when we get into all that, like you say, that 65,000
gone.
is good enough.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, we do. I think we do have to. We don't want to go in the 2021 budget and have to buy more bathroom supplies and do whatever, because now COVID's going on again in 2021, right. And now we still can't open our parks because something else is.
Or maybe that's just even if we take major steps forward, it might be the new normal for the future, that people are expecting these types of facilities to have these types of things, and if we can get ahead of it with some of this, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, use the money forward. I think that's a good idea too.
Okay.
For preparation.
All right, and just to, you know, my first thought was, yeah, let's get this figured out and get the money allocated and do whatever. But in the past couple of days, I've come around to thinking, why put that high of a priority on exactly figuring it out in the next 60 days when we got until November? Let's see what it is, and yeah, not have that as a framework that some of these nonprofits and whatever might give some benefits, but not saying this is a slam dunk yet. I mean, by October, November, like you say, there might be something totally different that we just have to go in another direction with it. So
yeah, I agree.
Activity report. I think we just put the levy stuff out there. I don't know, Jim, if you got an update on the seeding stuff.
Yeah, it's we'll have Jerry mow it another time. The stuff that was seeded, I spent a lot of time, talked to Bruce, just kind of looking at thistle and managing thistle. The south levee has some on it, so he's going to, I took out a lot of the seed heads and flowers to prevent future to get worse, but he's going to have someone mow it, and then I'll spray it in the fall when thistle. So right now it's at that spot where you're trying to give the advantage to all the seedlings that are there, and not allow bad things to get in there. So not going to see much benefit this year. Next year you'll start seeing more, and then the year after that is when it should really go. So, but I've been working with Bruce, and he's been great about just trying to manage everything. So
Awesome.
Bruce got a hold of Randy from Sentence to Serve. Steve Freeze from the Lions is working on the street sign project as well, but they should have 25 of them in.
Yeah,
no.
So I see some of them going up.
Really?
Great.
He's kind of doing it 25. Well, it didn't work out. We had a little frustrating day yesterday. It didn't work out exactly how we thought it was going to. We bought 25 extra new posts with the idea that some were going to be bent and we were going to add some new ones and whatever. But while Randy was here, we just put those in, and we figured out that the nut or whatever on top didn't work from the old bracket.
Oh, really?
So they've got a retrofit all between Freeze and Schumacher and Bruce. They figured out what they had to do to make them work. So now they're going to take Bruce is going to take the old ones and basically paint them all up and make them look like they're new, and then rethread that thing on the top. And so otherwise it was going to be another 100 posts at $25 a piece, and they decided that we can just go ahead and use the ones that are there.
So now we're going to paint signs instead?
The posts.
The posts.
The posts. Oh, okay. So, but all the signs.
The signs are good, but
okay, that sounds good. I had a question for on the old signs that are coming down. We talked about selling those, and whatever money we would get, we would reduce the donation required from the Lions.
Well, the Lions they've committed up to 3,000, and they gave us 25 so far. It's going to be like about a $3,700 project. So if it turns out that we don't take in 700, they'll give us the $200 more.
Well, I was actually wondering if it, and maybe this doesn't make sense. I was wondering if it made sense to let the lines take all the old signs and they just, sell them off. I don't like the actual.
As a fundraiser, you mean?
As a fundraiser for them, because ultimately they're the ones that bought them to begin with. And I thought they would probably do a better job of turning that into a fundraiser than we would as a city. And then they can decide how much they would want to give us one way or the other.
They might take that on, and maybe there's a way, maybe there's a COVID angle with it.
Yeah.
That there's some contribution or something we can.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just thought, they're the ones that purchased them originally, and I thought they would actually do a good job with turning it into a fundraiser, because obviously they're responsible for them to begin with. And then that way they could just write a final check, whatever they wanted to, and then we would just cover, So anyway, that was my thought.
Yep. Blacktop and catch basins. Kelly I think I sent this about 3 weeks ago. Kelly wanted to make sure everybody knew that he fixed those 2 catch basins on Ridge Road or on West Ridge for way cheaper than we would have got someplace else. And they say, I think he sent a couple pictures with him standing.
Should we send him a thank you note?
Can we just name the catch basin after him?
Go paint his name on here. Mm-hmm. Awesome. No, that is awesome though. Really, honest, it's good.
And the last time, and I may as well go through this now. The last time we were talking about how we were going to switch things and part-time employees, and whatever. How things ended up working is I actually went and I followed up and talked to a couple of temporary service employment places, one in LeSueur, one in St. Peter, and somebody had a branch office in Jordan. And they basically said, you really don't want us to do this because we don't take, we're more office worker kind of people to do those kind of things. I mean, you're going to end up having to do a contract with us for a way larger insurance payment than what you want because we got the same issues you got. I mean, we don't want 20-year-old something's the risk of them doing something. So you're better off figuring this out on your own. So from there, what's going on right now is as far as the bathroom down in Bender Park, Ron is doing some work down there, but we're basically keeping those closed. And when the ball teams are down there, we've got a relationship good enough with the coaches, Lewis and a couple of those others, that they basically take care of the bathrooms themselves. Up at Allison's Park, as much as possible, I've been doing some of the cleaning up there, and Lindsay has, so we haven't put a part-time person on up there to take that. And the goal is to try to switch some of that over as well to our law enforcement people after. And I've got another meeting tomorrow to see exactly how things are going with LeSueur and getting everything final switch over. So with that's how that part-time stuff is going. Bruce was on vacation for a while, and so we switched Gilman over to doing more contract lead and lawn work. I've got Beatty doing any kind of street or blacktop associated work. I've got Tatasi contracted to do any kind of levy and those kinds of things. And then Eric is actually up either today or as soon as he gets done with Freeze's project for doing the water and sewer. He's going to do the ponds and all that kind of stuff. He does our water and sewer work. So what I'm trying to do is supplement whatever Bruce can't do with contractors for now, and then whenever he gets to the point to where he does have to take an additional lead, we'll just go that route rather than hiring somebody and just trying to keep contractors on until we get back to normal operations. So and we'll have to see then and keep evaluating how things are going to go as far as transitioning these things to the police department and how that's going to work. And along with, in the end, you see we've got another personnel committee meeting set up for the last Sunday in July. So at that time, we'll kind of evaluate what's going on, and then hopefully at the August meeting, they can come back with some kind of recommendation as to how all the staffing can or will work. So then I'll go to the compost thing. Al is still doing some stuff there for August. Otherwise, Bruce is doing what he can up there. Snow removal left away. Allison's Park, I think I've talked about all of those. And as far as an updated new plan, we'll try to update that next year once we figure out what's all going on. Still haven't got anything done here on this building as far as brickwork, but hopefully Doug Thomas can get into that. The boat landing, we're trying the best we can to keep that open. The river, I mean, goes up 8 feet, it goes down 6 feet, so that sometimes it isn't working the way it's supposed to. Some of these community apps, and that might be another COVID spot that we might be able to talk about as to what some contributions could be for doing some of that. The pump house, Steve was going to get that door on. He said for sure by October, so hopefully it can be sooner. I mentioned the pond easements. We do have the easements, and one of the gentlemen up there is allowing Dave to go in and actually clean that area out. Water plant, we've talked about that now, and the painting should be starting here. I did get a quote on that SCADA system. It's pretty extensive, fairly expensive, so something we're going to have to talk about that personnel, see how we want to incorporate that. Cedar Bridge, haven't heard anything from Wingnet, and that's been probably a year. Joint Powers, final check we got was 24,2402 from JPA. Electronic speed sign, not really apparently a high priority for the guy from Mankato. The codification, he said it's probably going to be 6 to 8 weeks, so hopefully by fall we have that. Finance plan, my new part now on that would be to get with the finance group sometime in August. I have another preliminary update here by the August City Council meeting, and then have them submit their stuff by September. And then sounds like if we're bidding this out in September, we're probably going to need money in October. So kind of set up a bond schedule for, looks like it's probably going to be a $2.5–3 million bond once everything all gets, 2.5 anyway, once everything all gets done, and maybe even more if we try to roll whatever was set up for that watercolor project, and hopefully we can pay that back with that money we're saving for the $200,000 that we're saving for sewer payment. So, and that's kind of, now that this is becoming clear, it would have been nicer to do it earlier, but I think we really needed this number from SEH before we could really do anything with that. And we probably should, so that we don't have to redo it too much. And Robin, maybe we'll have something on the other stormwater project. I mean, that might be something we should at least include a little bit in there for as well, so we can plan your stuff going on that. So we don't have to rebond again until maybe 2022 or 23. Yeah, the ISG fair child bid up there last couple of days, but you should be working on it right now.
Any chance we'll have road money coming through any day, any year?
Okay, what?
Any road money for roads coming through again, like we did
Oh, a couple
years
years
ago?
ago.
Yeah. Was that just a fluke?
That was like a one-time thing.
It was.
Over 2 years for budget. That was like a budget surplus or whatever.
Oh, it was.
You're getting, we're getting 14 or however many blocks down roads here, which is pretty good, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, City Council Fire District.
There really was not much news. The chief presented us with his COVID plan and we adopted that. And they had been busy. We have another meeting this month.
Monday, right?
Yes. The chairman was not in attendance. So,
Cool.
mhm.
All right. Watershed requests.
So Rachel Pickleman with SEH had suggested that we try to partner with SWCD to be eligible for a statewide grant to allow us to do a surface water management plan. The grant's, maybe $50,000, and between us and the SWCD, we are supposed to contribute about 25% of that. The grant, they closed it this year because of the COVID stuff, presumably. So it's not going to be until next year that it will open again, or it could open in the winter. We don't really know. But the SWCD has agreed to partner with us for that. We needed that partnership to be able to be eligible for that grant. So that's going forward. So
Awesome.
Lon and I wrote a letter, and they did make a motion and pass that. So they passed a resolution. So that was good. Tomorrow I'm going to meet with Jeff Ducharme and look over now talking about the Mndot landscape project on 19, and look that over. I did submit a letter and a grant to Mndot to partner for the landscaping on that hill again. And I am meeting with the landscape designer from Mndot on Tuesday. And Jeff's going to kind of go over with me. Jeff, I think, is going to also meet me, and I think Kurt is going to also meet me and on Tuesday with the landscape designer. So,
Okay.
And that's that would be working on like all the stuff that's terraced in there pretty much, or like right along the roadway.
I think within their right of way. So I think it's 30 feet up the hill. I don't know if it goes all the way up to the terrace stuff. I don't know a lot about it. The bushes that were there were part of that project or installed under that grant originally, and those were killed by drift. So I think Jeff and them know, citizens in the town know a lot more about it than I do. So I'll find out more tomorrow, and then I'll at least be able to talk to Tim about it, and they're going to come with me too. So if anybody else wants to be there. So.
Cool. All right. Anything else with the city council? Okay. I'll be looking for a motion on the month end.
So moved.
Got a motion, get a second?
I will second.
Got a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. We're looking for a motion on the bills.
I'll make a motion that
Got a
we
motion,
accept the
get a
bills.
second?
Second.
Got a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Any old business? Any new business?
Oh, I think Lindsay gave me something that I should. It's a use of Allison's Park. I don't even know the date. I probably should approve that.
Okay. All right, I'll be looking for a motion on that.
What is it?
Somebody using the shelter?
I think people have been using the shelter anyway, haven't they?
Yes, they are.
No, but they're actually having an event.
Yeah.
Somebody's actually doing
Somebody's
the right,
actually,
doing the right thing,
I
right?
mean, they're actually asking permission to use the shelter? Okay.
No, and if you have, if a certain amount of people come up, it's gonna be like some kind of party, like an alcohol associated graduation party.
Okay.
They come with
Okay.
a permit application.
I'll make a motion that we accept that permit application.
Second it.
You got a motion, second. Further discussion? Yes, and people have absolutely been just straight up doing that up there. There's been multiple ones
Right.
up there already.
That's what I've been.
But
Yeah, are we, is it,
Drinking parties up there?
Well, we don't
I'm
like
assuming
season.
I didn't
Oh,
I didn't
drinking?
walk
I guess I don't know
through
if
and say is that
I'd go
does
through
that
No,
have-
no, you just bring sandwiches up there and have 30 people. No.
Oh,
But if you're having like a wedding reception or
gotcha.
graduation
Okay.
or whatever that you're actually serving
Gotcha. Okay.
serving beer,
Okay.
then
Yeah, all right.
that's our permit.
Are we, okay, so we're charging fees for that
No,
then?
we don't charge,
Okay.
But they have
that puts the liability on them rather than us.
I
So
do
it's
think
alcohol.
that there's probably people that are having.
If
like
you're
a
having it in
graduation.
your camper, and you bring it individually, that's one thing. But this person is actually bringing a keg and doing whatever.
All right.
That's what it is. But they're-
Okay.
I appreciate them doing that. I think we should be kind of watching that a little bit more to see how many other people are doing that. Just
So it's
a
too
thought.
often. Different times
It's
I'm
been
up
my
there.
impression.
Maybe during the
couple
day,
times.
somebody's up there doing it, day drinking, but I don't.
Well, and it's
Typically-
not just. I'm just saying maybe keep a closer eye on it because I think it's been bigger than just like a couple people hanging out having some beers under the shelter. It's been seen larger gatherings.
Okay.
So just a heads up to maybe have the police department keep an eye on that. But did we?
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. New business, other. I don't think so. Okay. All right. Be looking for a motion on the revised meeting schedule.
It's the fire department on there.
Personnel one is on there.
All right, looks good.
That's going to be everyone. Standard Joe.
I think so.
Everyone, basically everyone but the part-time police officers. Okay. All right. Be looking for a motion.
So moved.
A motion in a second.
I'll second.
Because basically, if James is gonna have to be here to talk about water and sewer stuff. Maybe not Lindsay. We'll see.
Okay. Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion in a second.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.